You know, the story of Abraham is one of the absolute cornerstones of faith. But if you look closely, there's something a little strange about it. A kind of puzzle. Using E.W. Bullinger's incredible commentary on Hebrews, we're going to dive into that puzzle at the very heart of Abraham's life, his heavenly calling.
It really all comes down to this one single powerful phrase. The book of Hebrews tells us Abraham looked for a city which has foundations, whose builder and maker is God. Now, this wasn't just a casual thought. This was the engine driving his entire life. And right away, that presents a fascinating puzzle.
I mean, really think about this for a second. Abraham wasn't some desert nomad from the beginning. He was from Ur of the Chaldees. We're talking a major, sophisticated urban center, a real city. And he leaves all of that, civilization, security, a physical home, to go wander around in tents. Why would you trade a real, solid city for just the hope of another one? That's the question we're going to answer.
All right, so to solve this puzzle, here's our game plan. We'll explore 4 key ideas: the city versus the tent, the amazing metaphor of sand versus stars, what it means for faith to actually be obedience, and finally, what a heavenly calling means for us today. Okay, first up, let's really dig into the choice that defined Abraham's whole life on Earth, leaving a permanent, established city for life in temporary tents. This was a deliberate choice, and it says everything. On one hand, you've got Ur. That's a known quantity, right? It means stability, society, everything you can see and touch. But tents, well, by their very nature, they're the complete opposite. Living in a tent is basically a giant sign that says, I'm just passing through. My real home is somewhere else. And right there, that's the key to the whole puzzle. You see, Abraham's journey wasn't just moving from one dot on the map to another. No, this was a vertical shift in focus. He gave up the security of an earthly city because his eyes were locked on the promise of a divine and eternal one. That life in tents, it was a constant physical declaration that his ultimate hope was not of this world. Now, this personal choice Abraham made actually points to a much bigger picture. Bullinger takes this idea and expands it into this powerful metaphor that describes 2 fundamentally different paths in life: the people of the sand and the people of the stars. Remember God's promise to Abraham that his descendants would be as numerous as the sand on the seashore and the stars in the sky. Now, Bullinger argues this isn't just God repeating himself for emphasis. No, these represent 2 distinct groups. The sand people are earthly. They walk by sight, their focus is on the here and now, the tangible world. But the star people, they're totally different. They live by faith in things they can't see. Their gaze is fixed upwards on a heavenly promise. And when you break it down, the difference is just massive. People of the sand walk by sight, focusing on earthly things. But people of the stars walk by faith, seeing themselves as strangers and pilgrims who are looking for a heavenly country. By choosing tents over a city, Abraham was basically declaring to the world, I'm one of the star people. So this brings us to the ultimate test, the moment this faith was pushed to its absolute breaking point. Because, it's one thing to live in a tent, it's another thing entirely to be asked to sacrifice the very son through whom that entire promise was supposed to be fulfilled. The original text here is just incredible. It deliberately repeats the word and. Just listen to the slow, heavy, methodical pace. And they came to the place, and Abraham built an altar and bound Isaac his son. See, this isn't some single panicked act. It's a series of conscious, deliberate steps. Every single and adds more weight, showing a faith that just keeps obeying even when it's facing the impossible. This leads to Bullinger's crucial concept, faith obedience. Now, this is so important. It's not that Abraham had faith and then, as a separate step, he obeyed. No, his obedience was his faith in action. The 2 were totally inseparable. The idea is, if we truly believe what God says, we will act on it. Any other response just proves we don't actually believe it. And this idea of faith obedience, it helps us solve what looks like a major contradiction in the Bible. You've got the Apostle Paul, who says Abraham was justified by faith. But then you have the Apostle James, who says he was justified by works. So, which one is it? Are they contradicting each other? Not at all. Bullinger's explanation makes it all click. Think of it like this. A living faith, a real, genuine belief in God, will automatically, inevitably produce good works, those actions of obedience. But a dead faith, one that's just a mental nod of agreement, well, it produces nothing but dead works.
So James isn't saying your works save you. He's saying that your works prove whether your faith is living or dead. And Abraham's actions proved his faith was very, very much alive.
And James himself gives us the perfect analogy. He says, just as a body without a spirit is just a corpse, a faith that produces no action, no obedience is a dead faith. It's lifeless. Abraham's faith was profoundly, even shockingly alive. Okay, so what does all this heavenly city, being star people, having a living faith, what does it mean for us right now? This is where it all gets really practical. Adopting this heavenly calling radically reorients everything. We begin to see ourselves as strangers and pilgrims here on this earth. Our whole identity shifts because we recognize our true citizenship is actually in heaven. The core idea is that our hope for the future completely changes how we live in the present.
And that's really the bottom line, isn't it? Abraham's belief wasn't just a private thought. It had tangible consequences. It made him pack up his life and live in tents. In the same way, if we truly believe in the promise of a heavenly home, it has to have a visible, practical effect on our choices, our priorities, and our daily actions. And that leaves us with a final question to consider. When we look at our own lives, our ambitions, our worries, where we find our security, which city are we really building for? Which one truly shapes our walk? The temporary, earthly one we can see, or the eternal, heavenly one we believe in by faith?